Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rusty 78609, and I'm in Central Texas, USA on Highway 1431 going west. It is about 9:30 a.m. The temperature is 83 degrees Fahrenheit already. It'll be 100 degrees here in Central Texas, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. What we're going to do this morning is episode 6 of Rv'Ing with Dick and Jane, my fictitious or fictional couple that have just retired, bought them a 36-foot travel trailer, a diesel dually, and are now Rv'Ing. They've been on the road for a few days or a couple of days, stayed at a state park, and now they're traveling to an RV resort somewhere in Arizona. We'll say northern Arizona. It doesn't matter where because the whole thing is fictional, but it's basically to give you new guys or new RVers some pointers because they're going to make a few mistakes along the way, and as they learn, you can learn. So here we go. Dick and Jane have now left the state park. Dick has recovered his coffee that he left on the bumper. Jane has got the donuts out of the microwave, which she had forgotten, and now they're traveling down the highway enjoying their coffee and their donuts. They've already gone through the ordeal of the one-way from hell. Dick turned down a one-way street to go get fuel, and it went and went and went with no exits. But anyway, now they're back on the road again, and they're headed peacefully, comfortably to the RV resort. No hurry. They will arrive there about 2 p.m. or so. The trip is very uneventful. They even pulled in and got gas once with no problems whatsoever. And now they're getting to the RV resort. When they pull in, it's a beautiful place. They have concrete pads, all pull-throughs. The hookups are beautiful. The clubhouse is wonderful. Everything is peace and harmony, finally, for Dick and Jane and their dogs. They have a big dog. I can't remember what I called it, but it's a big dog named Spot and a little dog named Puff. But having said that, they are at the RV resort, and I think I've said this before. Now, when I say Arthur's Note, I don't mean Arthur like A-R-T-H-U-R, a man's name. I mean author, like author of a book, okay? So this is an author's note. We're going to go right now, just to show you, we're going to go to Sunset Point on Lake LBJ, which is a waterfront RV resort, if the gate is not closed, so you can see what an RV resort looks like that Dick and Jane might be in, only theirs is much nicer because I say so. They arrive, get it signed in. The RV resort manager tells them where their site is, but better than that, when Dick gets back in his diesel dually and Jane gets in and they start to leave, a guy is in front of them in a golf cart and he waves to them to follow him, and he guides them to their site. How wonderful. When they get to the site, the guy in the golf cart gets out and guides Dick so that the travel trailer is parked perfectly, so that all the hookups will match up perfectly and everything is peace and harmony. In fact, the guy that was driving the golf cart even offered to hook up the drain hose, the water, and the electric, and Dick, thinking he probably is going to want a nice tip, he said, no, I believe I'll get that myself, and he did. Everything's going perfectly. They get everything hooked up. It's now about, well, we'll say close to 4 p.m. Beautiful day, temperature's nice. They go inside the RV. Jane is putting out the slides. They've got 3 slide outs, nice big ones. The dogs are comfortable, and so everything's nice. I mean, they're just enjoying the RVing now. It's getting better and better and better. And Dick opens the refrigerator and pulls out a bottle of nicely chilled champagne, a little bubbly, okay? A little celebration is fixing to ensue. Gets 2 nice little champagne glasses, pops the top, and pours Jane and himself a nice glass of bubbly champagne. They toast to the wonderful trip they've had that day, a nice RV park they're in. They're going to be there 2 nights, and they are ready for a nice relaxing night in the RV, and then the next day they're going to go traveling around and see some sights. What better life can you have? Dick goes back outside and kind of double checks to be sure everything's right, and everything is. He's got the chocks in, the truck is completely unhooked, the hitch is in the back of the truck, everything's done. You know, he walks around, looks at the beauty of the RV resort, goes back in the RV and sits down, and he and Jane are talking about the next day's adventures that they're going to go on, when all of a sudden there was a noise like a bomb had gone off outside. It was unbelievable. They could not believe it. Arthur's note. Now we're pulling into Sunset Point RV Resort, and I'm going to pull in here and hopefully I can get out, or we'll get out anyway. But this is a resort. See the gates and the guardhouse and all the stuff. And this is near Marble Falls, Texas. But anyway, that bomb that went off outside was lightning striking very close to their RV. In a few minutes, the skies had gone from clear to the clouds were dark. It was a good old Western USA thunderstorm, and I mean a good one. They don't get much rain out there in that desert country, but when it comes in a downpour. I mean, it will come in buckets. Anyway, Dick had just set out the chairs and the rug, but he said, to hell with it, I'm not going to go out in that rain. It was really starting to come down quick now. He gets back in the RV, and they sit there and have their glass of champagne, thinking about riding out the thunderstorm. Believe it or not, that lady was walking a Great Dane. That's what Dick and Jane have, is a Great Dane. Anyway, moving on here. Clap of thunder, winds picking up, raindrops are 16 ounces. I mean, they're huge raindrops, and Dick can't believe it. I mean, he knew he had checked the weather. You know, nothing showed, but thunderstorms in the west can pop up fairly quickly, and the winds will go from 0 to 60 miles an hour in a matter of minutes. So that's why if you're ever out in desert country and you're not going to be at your RV, don't have the awning out, or you'll come back and it'll be on the roof. So having said that, Dick and Jane have sat down, and now they're getting a little nervous because the wind has picked up. I mean, it's starting to gust and blow. It's got to be 50 or 60 miles an hour. The little RV is just rocking and rolling and doing all kind of neat stuff. They're not impressed because they're thinking, you know, if we were at home, we could have had a thunderstorm and we probably wouldn't even have noticed it. But in the RV, you notice it. I mean, the rain's coming down so hard that it's noisy inside the RV. And I mean, it is just pouring, 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 pouring. And this goes on for about 30 minutes. You know, first it comes, the rain came from one direction, and then it completely changed and started from the other direction. Unbelievable. Author's note here. Whenever you're traveling in an RV, it's a good idea to check the weather at least once a day. And in the western part of the USA, I would really suggest twice a day. Why? Because the weather changes very quickly sometimes, particularly in the summer, because they get some high winds in the spring and summer that really are just freaking awesome. Have I ever been in them? A lot of times, a lot. So anyway, be aware of that. Rain finally stops. Dick goes outside, and his chairs, of course, are gone. The little mat that he put out is gone. He's not sure where it is, so he starts to search for the 2 chairs and the mat. Now, see, there's a Great Dane right in front of us, if you can see it. That black and white dog is a Great Dane, and that's what they have in their RV. So these people prove that that is possible. I don't know if this gate is going to open or not. Probably not, but I'm going to go out the other way anyway. So anyway, Dick hunts and hunts and hunts, finally finds the 2 chairs and the little pad about 100 yards from their RV. The pad, of course, is soaking wet. The chairs are okay, so he brings it all back. He goes inside the RV. Jane is just finishing her champagne, the second glass. He's already finished his. So he says, well, the storm has passed. Let's have another glass of champagne. So he poured themselves another glass of champagne. And they sat down again to talk over the deal. And then anyway, Jane says, you know, this cushion is wet. He said, what do you mean? She said, this cushion over here is wet. Did you spill something? He said, no, I didn't spill anything. I've been outside. She said, yeah, that's right. So anyway, she got up and she felt the cushion again, and sure enough, it was damp for some reason. So sure enough, they started checking around, and that particular pop out on that side, on the dining side, leaked. There was a drip, drip, drip from the rain. Now here's Arthur's note here. There's 2 kinds of leaks in an RV. One comes when one leak starts when the rains come, and it'll be around the windows or on the roof, etc. Okay, that's one type of leak, and that is caused by rain. The way to avoid those leaks is go where it ain't raining. Okay, next, the other type of leak is little hookup leaks to your shower, your kitchen sink, or your hot water heater, or anywhere else there's a connection. Sometimes you get some water leaks there. That's totally different because they don't stop when the rain stops. Okay, but be that as it may, they start searching for the leak. Can't find it. Dick goes outside, looks, you know, the pop out is fully extended, and according to the salesman, they never leak. That's what the salesman told him. You know, the old ones used to leak, but the new ones don't. Well, I don't know what to tell you about that, guys. You know, buyer beware, because the salesman's trying to sell. So anyway, Dick got on the phone, called there was an RV dealership in a large community not too far away, about an hour away. He got the service manager on the phone, explained what type of unit he had, how long he'd had it, and of course the service manager says, well, did you buy it here? And Dick says, well, no, we didn't, but you know, we were told the warranty was good anywhere. And he said, oh yeah, it's good here. It's just that if you bought it here, you have priority. If you didn't, then we'll just try to work you in as we can. And Dick said, well, could you expand on that? What does that mean? And the service manager says, well, if you pull your RV over here in the morning, say it by 9 a.m., we probably can work you in tomorrow. And Dick says, well, work us in, does that mean we'll have to be there all day? And the service manager says, well, possibly, but you know, we'll try to get to you as soon as we can. And Dick turned to Jane and he says, well, our option is forget the leak and hope it doesn't rain again, or we can spend part of tomorrow getting it fixed. The option they chose was to get the leak fixed before they moved on, because they could run into another storm anytime while at night. And that's true. You know, you just never know what you're going to run into, and those little thunderstorms just pop up, and they're not, you know, if it says there's a 20% chance of rain, that doesn't mean there's not going to be some little thunderstorms here and there. It just means there's 20% chance of rain. But anyway, the next morning they get up, the little cushion is still wet. They bring in the slides and stuff and tow the RV to the RV dealership, and sure enough, as luck would have it, they did get worked in, but it was about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, so they'd been sitting there for 6 hours, or their RV had. They actually drove around. They didn't want to go too far because the service manager said he'd call them, and then they needed to come back because they needed to be there while they were working on the RV so they could show them where the leak was, blah, blah, blah. So instead of going on a sightseeing day, they went on a service department adventure, which wasn't much, wasn't very exciting. So folks, I have to tell you this, whenever you're in an RV, be ready for water leaks. Dick and Jane have just experienced their first one. Now here's something else I'll mention. Jane also noticed that there was a little water on the floor by where the kitchen sink is, the opposite side pop out, and they both assumed, and assumption's the mother of all mistakes, but they both assumed that came as a result of the leak from the pop out on the side by the dining area where the cushion was wet, that it must have just somehow got on the floor, and that's what that was, and that was a very simple explanation, and so they kind of let that go. And of course, when they got to the dealership and the service technician got to looking at the slide, he immediately found that part of the slide wasn't sealed properly at the manufacturer, and there was a gasket that was not installed properly, and a few other things that he noticed. And that happens, folks, because when they're cranking those things out at the manufacturing plant, they are in a hurry. The quality, they do not have any quality control. They ship them out to the dealerships as fast as they can, and then they cover their mistakes by their warranties, which sometimes can be just a few things, or sometimes you can get what's called a lemon, and the problems never end. Okay, but that's the way it is when you buy a new RV. In fact, if you buy a used one, if it's a year old, sometimes you might be better off, because at least they've already got all the leaks and stuff fixed. But having said that, Dick and Jane's adventure will continue in our next thrilling episode. But in episode 6, what we've learned is, one, if you put your stuff out, your chairs and your pad or your carpet or whatever you want to call it outside, and the wind starts to pick up, best thing to do is just fold your chairs up, roll up your carpet, and put them under the RV, because that's the quickest thing you can do. That way you don't have to worry about unlocking the truck and other stuff. Just roll that carpet up, fold those chairs up, and put them up under the RV, and sometimes they'll be there after the storm, and sometimes they'll be somewhere else, but that's step one. Now the other thing we've learned is that in the western USA, out in the desert, it'll be nice and sunny and beautiful, and but if you're not going to be around your RV and you're going to be gone for hours, bring in your awning. I guarantee you'll never regret it. The awning is for shade when you're there. If you're not going to be there, put it up. Number 3, awnings sometimes leak. Not all the time, sometimes. And I don't care what the salesman tells you, they're perfect. They've got this new thing now that does this and does that. Well, that might be true, but that day at the factory when that RV was being built, that individual that was installing that particular part may have had a hangover, and he didn't tighten the screw enough, or he didn't have the exact gasket or sealer that he needed, and he thought, well, I'll just get by with what I got because I don't feel like walking over and getting the thing I need, and on it goes. So anyway, Dick and Jane have just experienced their adventure with a thunderstorm, and that's always a good thing to go through. And now they're at the RV dealership. The RV appears to be fixed, and they're headed back to the RV resort to finish off that bottle of champagne, babe. But anyway, no, this is the next day. They're through with the champagne. They're probably a little hungover. But having said that, guys, from Central Texas, USA, this is Rusty78609 saying thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye. Buy anything you want. But if you think about it, use the link to Amazon products in the description of my video. Why? Because I get a small commission and it doesn't cost you 1 penny. What else? Drink plenty of water. 3 or 4 quarts a day won't hurt you. It's good for you. It'll help you avoid gout, kidney stones, and it'll also help you lose weight because you'll be full of water and you won't want to eat so much. You'll feel full. And what else? Take deep breaths. Take a good old inhale and hold it there for a few seconds, and then breathe out slowly. Why? Because that relieves stress, and relieving stress lowers your blood pressure, which is very, very, very good for you. What else? Stretch, 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 walk, walk, walk. I just finished doing mine just a little while ago. What else? Stand guard at the door of your mind. What you let in are ingredients. Don't let negative Nancy or negative Ned get inside of your head. It's yours. Accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative, folks. Anyway, episode 6 is in the basket. Episode 7 will come up sometime. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye.